Well, hello and welcome to 2020.
2020, big
I
up.
already almost messed that up.
You,
My brain went 2019 and then I had to pause for a
I had to
second.
write down a whole bunch of new papers, and I just like, in school, you always write down 2019 and everything. It felt really weird having to write 2020 on things.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to need to actually close out the chat, Ryan, because I keep looking at it. And, oh, wait, what did he just say? Huh?
What's he saying?
Chat
room.
Ryan, explain this.
Yeah, we're recording live on twitch.tv/Melacior, MELACIOUR. I can't believe I spelled it right. And we might start making this a trend thing where we do this every week because it's kind of fun being able to do it live, and you guys can watch us screw up and talk about stupid stuff a little bit before and after the pre-show and the post-show. Yeah, fun times.
Good stuff. We really don't edit the podcast like at all unless there's a weird bump or something.
Yeah,
so you'll notice that all the dumb things we say are out there forever.
But you can see us
Never
in
to be
video
cut.
form. We do have our cameras on for this live show.
Yeah. You did say we're going to be doing Divinity after this for a couple of hours. There, we're also doing a light role play, like our characters. We talk for them sometimes, occasionally, in the chat. So it's fun.
I also just spilled water all over my pants. So
if you want to see him spill water on his pants, boy,
looks like I just pissed
go to
myself.
well, you can't tell. He's only got a headshot on there. But I wanted to take this moment to
apologize.
My string of words was about to be apologize, but not really. So I guess now I'm apologizing because Ryan has ordained it to be so. But I got terribly sick a couple of days before the turn of the century. I was enjoying a nice 2-week break from work for the first time since I graduated college a couple of months ago. And then I guess I caught the flu and could not breathe,
function,
speak, or think really. So we were going to do this, have it come out on the 31st on New Year's Eve, but did not manage to do that. So I would like to apologize, but I don't know if anybody was pining I got my wine ready and popcorn. This episode's coming out at 7 a.m. and I don't know why I've got this at this time, but I'm going to do it.
Well, we haven't missed an episode till last week, and now we have. So now who cares anymore?
We didn't mention that to each other, but hey, it's okay. We can take a break for New Year's.
I guess so. Yeah.
Ryan was probably a little sad.
Yeah, I am sad, man. I love just getting to sit around and shoot the shit with my friend.
Yeah, which is what we're going to do
today. Let this be a lesson, though, to get your flu shots, kid.
Actually, yes, you get your flu shot. Don't let this think you should not get a flu shot, but the strain that they predicted for this year actually was different from what they had originally thought. So some of the shots were not really good.
Just throw up in your mouth?
I couldn't think of the scientific word for, I don't know, accurate, correct?
Yeah, it's just such a stupid that it's a guessing game every year to figure out what strain it's gonna be. If only they could figure it out.
The flu is crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's a crazy boy.
It's like a zombie disease.
I mean, I don't like to think about diseases inside my body because they're living things that do stuff.
What about Osmosis Jones?
It's weird.
It's a good way to think about it.
Well, hey, I mean, we might as well start talking about stuff like that because that's what we plan to do on this podcast.
Well, Osmosis Jones is 2001?
Well, yeah. So not necessarily. Well,
no, that's got to be older, right?
No, because I definitely saw it.
Whoa, I get 2001.
Dude.
Damn.
I'm just the best ever,
Ryan wished for prophetic powers for 2020 and he got them. Or at least hindsight.
At least when it comes to super obscure, stupid movies.
Yeah. So we planned on chatting about the things that we enjoyed most in 2019, be it games, anime, movies, TV shows. I mean, it was a crazy year for me. I graduated school and came back from Japan. So it was just a lot. Got my first job. Yeah, he did. You did that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Good job. Claps for Ryan.
No, claps for you, man. You graduated too.
I don't even know how I managed to do it, to be honest.
You just kind of
I shouldn't have been able to go to Japan and graduate on time. Yeah. And that Japanese class was brutal when I got back. Thought it was going to be easy. Don't know where we're going to start right now, Ryan, but what do you want to go off?
Well, I guess I'll start with, just because this is usually a D&D centric podcast. Not much came out. I mean, there was a lot of Unearthed Arcana stuff, as we have
Yeah.
covered for the last 15 podcasts, it feels like. But other than
And
that,
despite my belief, I thought that Magic the Gathering thing came out, but that was 2018.
that was last year. Or that was 2 years ago now. But last year, 2019, I'm pretty sure the only books that came out was Eberron, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and A Descent into Avernus. I think that was it.
Sounds like a lot, though.
Well, yeah. I want to say that's probably more than most years. Yeah, usually it's just like one, maybe two.
Ryan's like, not much D&D stuff came out this year.
Feel like a lot because it's 3. But when you look at the books, they're pretty thick boys. You could hit someone with it and probably knock them out.
Yeah. So a good amount of content came out. And
I don't think
I'm assuming this year's going to be
You haven't read any of them, correct?
I don't read, remember.
That's correct. Yeah, Braxton is illiterate. I have read 2 of them, Eberron and Saltmarsh.
Okay.
And Saltmarsh is great for, and you'll understand, Braxton, why I have read Saltmarsh, because it is great for sea-centric campaigns.
Hey!
And that's what we've been doing in our game for the last little bit, is traveling along the oceans. But there was basically an unearthed arcana about sea travel for a long time until this book, and this book pulled it all together and made it fully made, and it had different ships and stat blocks for all these different ships and ideas. And there are quests and adventures throughout the book that I haven't used yet, but I've read them and they seem really cool.
Yeah, we had a ship fight last session, so this weekend.
Yeah, so I got to use those stat blocks.
I saw you looking at stat blocks and what big ship has stat block? What's its charisma, Ryan? Do tell.
I actually don't think it has that part of the stat block.
That's what I was thinking when you said it. It made me do a little chuckle there.
So you're chuckling?
I mean, did you have a favorite?
Oh, it has a 0 charisma.
That's
surprising.
Great. Some ships can be charming, I bet. What if it's like an enchanted ship and
it's got
the
a
mast
big smile on it?
Yeah.
Or a naked lady on the front of it.
It'd be Christmas. Yeah, that'll do it. But did you have a favorite D&D thing that happened or came out this year?
I think the leaning towards planar stuff for the very, very first Unearthed Arcana stuff that we did was probably my favorite D&D stuff from this year. Though, don't get me wrong, I love Eberron. I think it's really cool they're doing there. Saltmarsh was really awesome too, because there's a lot of Lovecraftian stuff in there. And Avernus is, from what I've heard, it's very cool. I like more stuff in the Hells, but I haven't read it, so I can't judge it. And it's only one of the layers of the Hells. It's not like they're covering all of them, which I think would be really cool. They did that, but
I'm surprised. That's a fairly untouched area.
Yeah, there's third-party stuff.
Yeah, I bet, because it's an insanely popular thing. But you bring up the Unearthed Arcana. We might as well talk about this now. I think this is our friend who we've talked about before, Daniel. But we got an email from, I believe, Daniel. Question mark. Hey, you can see my face right now.
Possibly.
I make lots of faces during these things. But it's a long message. I will try to get through it quickly. He said, "Hello to the two of you. In your most recent podcast, Braxton brought up the subject of the revived rogue's audience with death feature being easily abused by the rogue and his or her party, repeatedly putting him or her at the brink of death. There was a bit of speculation as to how to prevent the abuse of this ability. The topic reminded Daniel of one of his homebrew rules an old group of his came up with that was for a different reason. Some of the players were blindly charging into dangerous situations a lot, knowing that a revival could be easily achieved with spells, and as a result, a character would typically die every other session. To make things feel riskier, players did comment about things being too easy sometimes. The DM would have a specific thing occur whenever a character was revived. When a character is brought back from the dead, for any reason, the DM would give the player a pen and tell him or her to fill in one of the failed death save portions of their character sheet. The consequence to this is that each time the brink of death was reached, it was harder to come back from it. If a character was brought back 3 times and was reduced to 0 HP, then that character's soul could no longer withstand the journey and was unable to return to the world of the living. That was just Daniel's 2 copper pieces, and hopefully he wishes that it brought some maybe some interesting discussion or ideas.
Yes, this is actually funny, because I was reading, so Xanathar's guide to everything, I think that's what the book is called. It was kind of like a Player's Handbook 2.0 that came out a little bit ago. There was a DM's Guild group of guys that I follow called Xanathar's Guide to Almost Everything Else, I believe is what it's called. And I
think I've heard of that.
It's kind of like third-party stuff that expands on some of that material. And there's actually a section in there talking about the death and how to make it a little more intense. There's one where it says if you die 3 times and that's it, or there's one where every time you die and get brought back, there's a percentage chance that it won't come back, or you'll have some weird quirk when you come back. And what we do, I do what they do in Critical Role, because I think it impacts death a little bit more, because like Daniel was just saying, once you get revival capabilities, it can seem pretty trivial to die. Like, all right, we'll just bring it back right now. So I like having trials and different things that lead to bringing death, because I don't want it to be a simple thing. I like that. I like that little homebrew rule.
Yeah, I like Daniel's rule because it's essentially you can die X amount of times. It's limiting, so I can see some problem being there. Some players being like, maybe not. But it puts a lot of pressure because you've died twice and you only can have one more death save now, which it doesn't make it impossible for your soul to return. You don't just die when your death saves are there, I don't think he said.
It makes it harder, maybe.
Makes it harder.
That's why you bring this up in session 0. Say,
yes,
hey, this is what I want to make death important and not trivial, so let's maybe have this homebrew rule for when you guys die.
I was actually talking with my FC, or basically clan, in Final Fantasy, and I started this recently, so now you hear me talk like an MMO nerd.
Yeah, he's got obsessed with it.
Yeah, I've put like 70 hours into it over the past, well, I'm sure a lot of it's character customization.
Well, it's a great game just to toss on when you got. That's what MMOs are. It's great games just to toss on. You got nothing else to do. You're like, I'm just gonna be a degenerate and sit around my own filth and play Final Fantasy for 10 hours.
It's pretty much my entire winter break. just that, and probably what I will do after this if I don't go to a bar with my brother tonight. But I was talking with people in my FC, and there was this one guy who was rather opinionated, like I kind of used to be a couple of years ago, where I would just say things like as absolutes, without any room for input. I wouldn't call it a jackass, but it's like a lack of being aware of certain things.
Sure.
So this person was saying a valid point, that people who pre-write or basically pre-writing is dumb, and quote unquote like fucking stupid, or people that pre-write are forcing things on players.
Oh, for like
saying
D&D?
it as an absolute, yes, with like no context or like room for saying if you pre-write but throw it out the moment that the story goes somewhere else. He didn't add any caveats like that, and I
do that all the
tried
time.
not to argue. Yeah, try not to argue, but my response essentially was, well, I think pre-writing's fine as long as, you're open to removing that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, for example, so let's say you have a group of your party is heading somewhere really cool that's been brought up over the past 5, 10, 20 sessions. They've been hearing about this place and they're finally going to it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to write up a bunch of stuff for this place because I don't want it to get there and just fall flat. I want it to be something cool for the party to experience when they get there. Otherwise, the last 20 sessions building up to it will just kind of be, oh, we're here.
Yeah. My big thing about pre-writing is, or at least my experience during D&D, is if it's all 100% improv, it feels like there's really no point.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a bad way to put it, but everything I'm doing is just random. Unless
you're really good at it.
Yeah, that is true. But still, it's not working towards anything. I don't know. It's a bad way to put it because a DM could more than absolutely plan something in the middle of the session, like a very long quest they go down. So I don't know. It's a gray area, which is why I was so bothered.
Yeah,
by
I've
the black and
improv
white.
some quests here and there when it came up. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's go along with that.
Yeah. But in regards to D&D, I think this is probably ironically, the year that I've done the most D&D stuff. I mean, hell, we started a podcast.
Yeah, me too.
We set up me playing D&D virtually with you guys. That shows how dedicated I am to playing it and wanting to stay in contact with the game and those friends. But otherwise, anything Warlock that came out this year, I'm a fan of. There you go. That's it.
He's just a Warlock fanboy through and through.
Yeah, man. Hey, you find what you like, and you stick
I love
to
him
it.
Too. That's why I like writing for it as a DM.
Yeah. Oh, I just gave you a bunch of stuff for my character too.
Yeah.
So
now I can.
Stuff. I want to talk about that because you said you want to talk about that.
Yeah. Now I can kill everybody and mess with everybody and pull
Or
on.
already dead, maybe. I don't know. But how about, because this is something that you are big on, and I've been talking a lot already. Let's go to movies this year.
Oh boy. Or
'Cause
just
I've actually,
shows and movie. We'll combine it together.
yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something that came out this year, but something that you consumed this year.
Okay.
Unless you want to make it only.
I don't care. Most of the stuff I wrote down and are in my brain are things that came out this year because I don't remember everything that I watched and saw this year. But
yeah,
if it comes up, I'll definitely talk about it.
2 things of mine came out this year. But go ahead, start off. Do it.
I think the best thing, we'll start off with my by far my favorite thing I saw this year, at least that I can think about.
Okay.
Is The Boys, the TV show.
It's not a movie.
I said we're combining TV shows together.
Does anime count in this?
Yeah, it's a show.
Oh.
Now he's
okay. Yeah,
he's
The
involved.
Boys. I remember you were raving about that. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, The Boys is just phenomenal, and so that I love superheroes and stuff. I read comics growing up. I watched TV shows like the Justice League and all sorts of stuff. And then when the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or as the cool kids call it, the MCU, came out, I liked it until every film was the exact same one as the previous one that had just come out. And they came out like 2 or 3 a year, and I got so sick of it. And then The Boys came out, and it's just the exact opposite, and it's fantastic. So if you hate superhero stuff that's come out in the last 5 years, watch that.
That seems
You'll
a
love
bit. I get your point. I see what you're saying,
It's
what you're
perfect.
putting down. What would you say? I mean, without spoilers,
Yeah.
what is the charm of the show? Is it that superhero but not superhero aspect?
It's
Or-
the charm of the show for me is that it's everything that the MCU is trying to avoid. It's going for I mean, I guess in some ways it's a little edgy. At least the first episode actually threw me off because I thought it was a little too over the top. But eventually I got where they were coming from, and everything just clicked into place, and it all worked together. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but the villain of the show is just terrifying and charming and brilliant all at the same time. And Keith, I think, no, Carl Urban, I think is his name. God dang it. I don't remember.
Keith Urban?
Is it Keith Urban?
No, that's a celebrity.
Yeah, it's the actor.
Wait, what?
Are you right? Or am I
I don't know.
right?
Keith Urban.
It's Carl Urban.
Yeah,
Who's
Keith Urban's a
who
country
did I
singer.
say?
Carl.
So I
don't
was
know.
right. Well, it doesn't matter.
You said both, so I think you were right and wrong.
Whatever. Either way, that guy does an incredible job as the. He's not really the main guy, but he plays Billy Butcher, and he's fantastic. It's also a comic series. I haven't read them, but I've heard good things. So I'm excited for season 2 next year or this year, 2020.
Oh, it's got a confirmed season 2?
Oh yeah.
That's good. You're spoiled. Us
Jeff
anime
Bezos
fans.
has money bags. He also saved my other favorite TV show this year, The Expanse. So I'm a happy guy.
I should get more into regular TV, but for those of you that don't know me, I pretty much only watch anime. Caveat: Frasier when my brother watches it. I've seen a lot of Frasier. Quite enjoy that show. Definitely did not come out in 2019. May
No.
get a new season, a new show in 2020.
Really,
possibly.
Frasier?
Yes, their name Frasier or Kelsey Grammer, the actor that plays Frasier, is going to be doing, or there's been lots of talk from him of a reboot, possibly set in Chicago, set in Seattle. There's a lot of cities that they've touched on in the series, and you know, if we're not constricting it to 2019 shows only, and we're on regular TV right now, Frasier is something I watched a lot of and really loved this year.
Yeah, I was
Quite
rewatching.
a bit.
Actually, I rewatched True Detective this year, first season. Another, I think, one of the best seasons of television to exist. Just definitely give that a watch if you haven't.
I do enjoy seeing acting in regular TV because I was a theater student, so I like looking at it, but it's sometimes the acting is too in my face.
Sure, I think
It's
you
like
would.
getting,
I think you would really like it. There's some Lovecraftian stuff to it. It's very well done.
yeah, it's an easy way to get me to watch something.
But this is not the 2020 podcast, or we were talking about
No.
new season of Frasier. What shows did you watch this year that you liked?
So I'm looking at my anime and movie list, realizing.
Hit me with just like a couple of them first. I know let's not just go down the list.
Okay, let's start off. And the anime I've seen, most of them were continuations from 2018. They ended in 2019.
That's
so
all
can
right.
we count that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So big one in the elephant in the room, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind.
I remember when I remember you were highly anticipating week to week. It honestly, to me, that's a joy to watch someone else really get into a show like that. Because nowadays in this world of binge watching, you just watch it all, you're done. But I love the anticipation of what's going to happen next week.
Oh man, JoJo. I mean, it started in, I think 2007. It started at some point. Phantom Blood did. It was the first part. There's 5 parts of JoJo, and this was the 5th part, following an interesting main character, because usually it's a Joestar, somebody from the main character's bloodline. Interesting twist that this character's, I can't spoil it, but it's just, anime can be reserved or stuck in its own cliches and ruts, but this is such a flamboyant, weird, quirky meme of a show, but it has enough serious elements that you really care about the characters. Like, I cried several times during the season.
I mean, I've heard it's fun. I just gotta sit down and watch it, man.
Well, can something have this much of a ridiculous shitpost meme culture about it and still have an insane story that moves you? And I don't mean like meme culture as in people get random shots and make a meme out of it.
Until you finish that sentence, I was thinking Rick and Morty, but then an engaging story I don't think Rick and Morty has.
I genuinely cry to this show. I probably cried to it several times.
Futurama, I did. It's got a pretty meme culture, but it's got some pretty sad episodes in there.
It's just, I don't think there could be a more perfect title for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It really...
Well, the anime that we both watched, and I'm sure it's on your list.
Yeah, Demon Slayer. Kimetsu no Yaiba.
I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, it's phenomenal.
Have you gone past, and let's keep it spoiler free so people don't come off the podcast. But have you gone past episode 19?
A little bit, yeah. 1 or 2.
Okay. Wouldn't you agree that like the character interactions and whatnot are phenomenal?
Yeah, again, it's some of what I was saying earlier with the boys, where there's a couple of rocky moments, but then everything just falls into place.
Well, I mean, specifically after 19.
It's like it's built up to a moment, and then it just...
Well, you've got the climax, and it comes down off of it for like a second, but then you're right back into it. Like, I just love the pacing it had there. So that was just wonderful.
Yeah, and the soundtrack for Demon Slayer is phenomenal.
It's amazing. And I believe it's animated by Ufotable.
Yes, it is.
Done the people who do the Fate series. So it's just, even JoJo, or another show that aired during this year, or I think it might have started in 2018, but Fire Force, that suffers from some quality, which actually is animated by David Productions, who does JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as well. Oh. They occasionally can waver at certain points in animation style and quality, but I think it might be because they're doing a movie, but I could be incorrect about that. So
watch that if you haven't, guys.
Yeah, Demon Slayer. It's a wonderful show.
It's pretty short, 26 episodes, I think.
That's not short to an anime viewer. That's a blessing.
That's short for someone who's watched like.
And
Lost
if you only like to watch TV shows like regular stuff because of the consistency it gets, and sometimes they get second seasons more often, Demon Slayer has an anime that is coming, or a movie that's coming out that will have immediate succession after this. So it's technically the second season, as well as probably another season after this. And the manga author is actually a woman.
Yeah.
Which I don't like to use that as a toting point.
Well, it's
to
pretty
watch
rare
because it is rare, but it's a weird culture. I don't want to get into that at all. But she's wonderful and does a lot of, like, I guess not industry breaking, but she goes against the grain a lot, and it's a really interesting show to see what different choices somebody makes from a different perspective and
good characters.
Of living. Yes, something that I've been severely disappointed with this year in terms of anime and TV shows is unfortunately been My Hero Academia.
I remember you talked about that when it was coming out. I think you were really hyped at the beginning, and then it just kind of fell down for you.
So it's one of my all-time favorite shows, just period. It started off as this really consistently high production quality and integrity show that was essentially an author just saying, you know what, I want to have fun, and this is that story. So there are holes in it everywhere, and the animation was just great. But as the second season came out, there were some episodes where the character design was wonky, and these animators have a character design sheet to go off of, like, don't stray from this too much, but like the shape of the head or the way that the eyes were drawn or the weight of the lines was just very different. And that's not just because of direction, but it was just really inconsistent. And this third season starts off on a really weak foot in terms of animation quality, has a couple of really, for lack of better terms, hype moments, like a fight with Kirishima or Red Riot. No spoilers again, but they came to the climax of this arc recently, and it was basically a slideshow. In anime terms, that means frame by frame, literally still shot. So what was supposed to be, yeah.
So it's almost like a modern day ending of Evangelion.
Yeah, in a sense. And I will be one to say that I am influenced by Reddit discussions. So I watched this prior to the discussion, and genuinely I teared up during it and thought it was great, but went to the Reddit discussion and saw them talking about it, comparing it to the manga, and having them mention that they're also making a film at the same time, which probably sucks all their resources. I've been sadly disappointed. I mean,
even still, it's you can like something but still think they could have been a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
That's like, even everyone was like, you got to finish Evangelion, but then you got to watch the movie because it really wraps up. But I thought it did, but I loved the ending of how.
Did you watch the movies?
Yeah, well, not the new ones, but I mean like end of Evangelion.
Okay, yeah.
But I loved how the show ended. I thought it was very beautiful and poignant, and maybe it's coming from a psychology guy. Yeah. But I thought it was really, really well done, and obviously I could see where lack of budget, lack of time, etc., led to the decision they had to make. But I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
we've this is going to be a really Braxton heavy portion now that we've reached into anime, but
that's okay. We'll get it wrapped
something
up.
That ended this season started last, that I didn't really watch until this year, was Dororo, so Dororo, and that was one of the best shows I've seen, like, in my anime watching career, even in just media.
A weird name.
It's actually the name of not necessarily the main character, but the main character's like supporting character. They're always there, basically main character as well. But it's basically about a person who's had everything taken away from them, both metaphorically and physically, and it's a story about how they get it back and what kind of person they become as they gain these things back. And keeping it spoiler free 100%. If you just like stories about that, this is something that's very unique. It's adapted from a manga that is extremely old, or quote unquote extremely old, came out I think in the 1900s. It was amazing. I loved it. It ended fairly well. Could go somewhere else and could have another season, but I think that's where they'll stop it. But man, it was amazing.
To give it a watch.
Definitely, I think you would love it, Ryan. It has some really moving moments in there, very, very powerful scenes. And something else I've really enjoyed, just kind of like not even a guilty pleasure, but the isekai genre, or from a different world, from another world, it's become something that's very popular in anime right now. Sword Art Online is the biggest example of that. So the Ascendance of a Bookworm, I've really enjoyed as well.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, love it. Really, really great show.
You probably even mentioned it on the podcast before, I think.
Yeah, I probably have, and I loved it so much. Basically, a girl, something happened to her so that she gets not necessarily transported, but I'll say it reincarnated into this new world, into a rather frail person's body. And she's got a love of books, but she's in medieval Europe, essentially, and books are rather expensive there. So all she asks for when she gets born into another life is to be surrounded by books. But weirdly enough, it seems like the opposite of that was
interesting
brought about. Yes. So excuse me. I loved it. It was wonderful. I'll turn it over to Ryan. That was kind of like my highlights. I got one more thing, but honestly, I think this was the best thing that I've consumed this year, and I'll talk
really
about
of just like even like games and everything.
No, of movies.
So like media. Okay, that's good. Yeah. I don't know if I had any too big disappointments, at least that I can think about.
Yeah. My Hero Academia was the biggest one for me.
Yeah, that's a shame, man. Well, I assume most people felt the same way.
Yeah, for the most part. What really encapsulates my thought about it is I now wouldn't have a problem reading the manga, which that was one of the shows I swear by
Brax doesn't
not
read.
going to the manga. I
So
don't.
That's saying something.
That's saying something. Something else I enjoyed a lot was Dr. Stone. That's something I watched that came out.
Yeah, I
this
remember
year as well.
you leafing through the manga when you were here.
Yeah, Dr. Stone was awesome. Loved that. So Ryan, you were about to go on something. Feel free to take the talking hat.
I watched because most years I do my best to not even I kind of do it subconsciously, I guess, to avoid the big blockbuster hit movies that everyone loved that year, because I am pretty positive I'll probably not like it. So I try my best just to not even touch it. I'll watch kind of the more obscure stuff. But this year I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna watch. I watched Infinity War. I watched Endgame. I watched the new new Star Wars. I've ordered that one. A new Spider-Man movie. And surprisingly, I actually really liked the new. I thought the new Spider-Man movie was really well done. Far From Home. I liked. Well, I hate what's Jake Gyllenhaal. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. He's always done cool stuff. Donnie Darko's incredible.
So I have actually been reading the chat, and Jazzpunk says that's her favorite movie. Sorry.
Oh, in the chat room they're talking about Donnie Darko.
Yeah, they did a while ago, and I wanted to mention it or bring something up
So
to
good.
the chat. I mean, yeah, I love that movie as well.
It's
It was
actually
one of my brother's
the
favorites.
other one of the favorite movies I watched this year was gave me a similar vibe of the Donnie Darko is much more of a kind of a cult classic. It wasn't super huge in the box office, from what I can tell.
It's a quirky movie,
Yeah,
for sure.
But the Joker, similar. If you put that in front of me without any prior knowledge of how it did,
See Joker.
I would not have thought that the general public would love that film. That is a super intense movie. It doesn't strike me as the people that like Endgame would like that.
Well, it was set up by reviewers to fail, saying it was going to be too controversial, that people were going to have backlash against it. And what happens in
Kinda
this
the opposite.
generation? Yeah, so they're like, no. So everybody loved it.
It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I also forgot I saw that.
One of
great.
the most
Loved it.
uncomfortable I've ever felt in a movie theater was watching the Joker. You're just in this guy's head for like 2 hours, and it's
If
something.
I were to act in a movie, I would love to do characters like that.
Oh yeah, Joaquin
super
Phoenix does a
fun.
great job with character-driven stuff.
A few things rekindle my love for acting as I've kind of moved away from it in my life that I'm at right now. But watching him in certain scenes, I was just like, God.
Yeah. I think he was
that's
that way on
dedication.
set too. He was just always the Joker.
Creepy.
Yeah, that would be terrifying. Just sitting around with that guy, like Robert De Niro hanging out with him, and he's just always 120% over the top.
So, did Mob Psycho end this year?
I don't know.
That's one of my favorite shows of all time. Mob Psycho 100. The second season ended. Watch that if you haven't.
I have.
But in terms of movies, one that I did see this year that came out this year was the Konosuba movie.
I remember you talking about this.
Yes. Not only was it one of my favorite movies, like plot wise, but it was just one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had. Like, you go to the theater to sit with other people and experience this story unfold in front of all of you in a less than normal setting. I've got a burp coming. Excuse me. Hold on. I'm not going to do it.
Shared experience. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, shared experience. And
you hope there's going to be some asshole in there that's bothering everyone throughout it. That's the risky
think
take.
about it is a risky take. So this is a movie of an anime that has a manga, a light novel, and the series, of course. So it has people are going to see this, have a culture and a community that they understand and follow online. So here, all the inside jokes, the typical slapstick humor that they have, the character humor, everything was just getting booming laughter from each and every person. And honestly, people were like laughing and looking to the person to their left and like affirming. It was just such a solid. I mean, it's crazy. It gets a bit raunchy at times, but it was so hilarious. Like, probably the funniest movie or TV show that I've seen ever. like that one movie.
Well, it's like when
right
you go to
there,
a
it was
concert
just-
or something, you know, the best concert experience is not only the band's doing great, but the crowds next to you singing along with it. And it's this whole immersive experience of being around people and enjoying company. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and there was actually this screenwriter for I believe it was Pulp Fiction, who does reviews occasionally and is known to be fairly harsh on them. He without any word on his official reviewing platform, I think it was on IMDb or something, gave this movie a 5-star rating. And didn't say anything until later where people were asking him about it. And he said pretty much what I've said is just an amazing cinematic experience. Much like a concert when you're there, and Ryan said there's just an electric feeling about the room, and it was so freaking fun.
Now for the kids at home, how do you spell that?
Konosuba. I could say the full name, but it's of that trend of really extremely long anime titles.
Sure.
And it would just sound like me flexing my anime skills or Japanese
You
skills.
get some pretty good Japanese biceps.
I was like, I don't have good biceps. And I realized
Japanese
that you weren't talking
biceps.
about that. Yes.
I saw The Irishman finally this year too, because I love Scorsese, the director, and Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies. And it came out in like the 80s or something. It brings like all those guys back and adds Pacino to the mix. The only issue with the film is it's like over 3 hours, and it only gets good about an hour and a half into it. They definitely could have trimmed stuff out, but it's about a true story, or at least an assumed true story of how Jimmy Hoffa was killed in like I think it was the 90s, maybe the 80s, I don't remember exactly. And for a lot of people of our generation, they don't know who Hoffa is, and so I think that first hour and a half is setting up who this guy is, what's going on, where he sits, who the mob, how his mob connections are. So if you don't know anything about him, you can just watch it and hop in. So I guess is important, but I don't know, definitely too long.
Yeah, length can be a problem for a lot of movies. And speaking of that issue, particularly, I watched, and I think this came out this year. Should have. Parasite. It's by a Korean director. I was going to ask you about
that, yeah.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No, you were telling me about it, though.
Yeah, definitely go watch it. Not at one moment in this movie did I think something was out of place or did not need to be there. It was so tied up neatly in a bow, and it was similar to who did I say it was like? Ryan.
They are showing it nearby.
Yeah, who's that guy? He made the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I also saw this year.
Tarantino.
That's
kind of
like
on
that.
my list.
Where
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I want to.
I loved it. It was amazing. Go watch that.
Love Tarantino.
Parasite. This movie, it just, you don't know what it's about or where it's gonna go, but you're along for the ride, and it's wonderful. I'm always an advocate for people watching movies in other languages.
Mm-hmm.
There's a barrier there, but the subtitles were palatable, and
you kind of get used to it, man.
It was a funny movie. It was an uncomfortable movie. It was a scary movie. It was a hilarious movie. It was just not one thing.
He's also the guy that wrote and directed Snowpiercer.
He's made some very, very interesting movies.
That's a English film. Interesting. So he does one that's very talented guy.
Yeah, I loved it. But that's pretty much it for the things that I watched that came out this year.
That's actually, that's in my watch list. I have things that I wanted to watch, but I haven't yet. Once Time in Hollywood being one of them. The Lighthouse. I can't believe I missed it when it was in theaters, but it looks right up my alley.
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit. Well. Didn't see that, but really want to. Taika Waititi, I think is his name. Supposed to be phenomenal. Love it. Knives Out. I wanted to see that as well. In 1917 came out on Christmas, but they weren't showing it anywhere near me, and I'm very upset. So I'll have to watch it later.
Plenty of movies came out, or anime came out this year, but it would take me. I would have to pull up an actual list and look for it because I didn't prepare for that. But I watched a couple of movies this year because Keller said they were great. And earlier this year, it didn't come out during 2019, but I watched Lost in Translation.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I think encapsulates the feeling that I had about Japan.
Yeah.
And how it feels to leave an experience like that. Like the
you
end
liked
of that
it?
movie is... Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
how it feels to leave something, anything really, but specifically in my case, Japan, the leftover emotions that you have when you're returning is very similar to the emotions that are evoked at the end.
I haven't seen that in a long
movie
time.
specifically.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah. Loved that. And then Ryan, you'll be excited about this, but I'll preface this one first. I watched this movie second. The next day afterwards, I watched Comet. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So it's similar to Her. Yeah, I watched Her as well.
Did you? Did we
yes.
talk about it? I don't remember if we did.
You wanted me to watch it. You've been telling me to.
What'd you think?
Keller, my brother. Oh my god. Yeah.
You like it? Yeah, it's great.
It is an amazing film.
More
that
Joaquin
explores,
Phoenix incredibleness.
Yeah, it explores so many different issues and relationship dynamics and just topics, but doesn't leave you thinking that wasn't touched on enough, or like the fact that they talk about how AI grow faster than humans and probably have to dumb themselves down to even communicate with us at some point, and also touch on long distance relationships and touch on non-traditional relationships and touch on people not being able to deal with actual human emotions and what if there was a perfect relationship where somebody catered everything towards you, how would that look? Like an argument where you just work and it just touches on everything, and it does something so great about the setting. It's in the future and nothing is branded, like there's no Apple that everything is like made like a theater set. Like the monitor they have there is
the color schemes is incredible.
It's almost surreal and otherworldly in a sense, and I loved it so much. And Comet is about it's a non fucking Droog. Sorry. It's an let me go back, give context here. Chat's open, Ryan. You're gonna hate me for this.
No, I
but
can
we
see
are
what
streaming
he's
right
doing.
now. Yeah, as we're more than halfway into here. Let me give an update for anybody that's kind of like jumped in. We are streaming this live on Twitch right now. At Melacior, Melacior. I did not spell that off the top of my head. I looked at it on the screen. Save your applause. And chat did show up here. So Droog, one of the viewers, made me laugh. But going back to Comet, it explores a non-traditional / non-linear timeline for a movie where several, I guess, instances or moments in the relationship of these two people is explored in this movie, and it's very powerful and surreal as well. It's very similar to Her, but less exploratory of...
Sure.
What did you just point to?
No, just sorry. It's a thought that I'm gonna say after you finish your thought.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Just saying, going along, another movie I really wanted to watch that I feel like will kind of hit the same emotions that we're talking about is Marriage Story. Have you heard of that?
I have. It's a bit controversial in the theater scene right now.
Really? Why is that?
Because of the scene that was circulating on Twitter and on the internet between... It's the climax of the movie, so I won't go into spoilers. But it's basically an angry emotional man and angry emotional woman scene where they yell at each other.
Sure.
In their top intensity the entire time, and that's such a
cliche.
Sorry, it's a cliche scene for people to do in acting school where man and woman talk about relationship.
But I guess it'd be okay if it's deserved. If it works.
That's
to that
true.
point.
Which is why it's controversial, or was, because it was out of context, and it's just, you never start a scene at a 10 and maintain that 10 because there's just no intensity, really.
Yeah,
everything is dropped.
I've heard the movie's heartbreaking. That's really why I want to see it.
Yeah,
I love heartbreaking.
So I've heard it's good as well. So that's why it was kind of controversial.
And it's got Adam Driver, and I've just seen him in like only the Star Wars films, and I think he's not that great in them, so I'm interested to see him in something that's actually good.
That scene he did pretty wonderfully. So I enjoyed that.
That's pretty much. Yeah, that's about it for the media section, at least the film and TVs. Unless there's anything else you can think of.
There's probably a lot of stuff, but I only remember things.
That's about all I got.
Them and it brings stuff up. My throat's really dry because I'm talking a lot. I got water.
Drink some water, man.
It's empty right now.
Oh no.
I'm out of all of the water forever. But let's go to video games.
Okay, my video game list is pretty extensive.
Well, I mean, you could probably tell them my video game list.
Yeah, your favorite of the year, I'm pretty sure, is going to be Resident Evil 5.
I think I thought you were actually going to say something. I was going to say you were wrong, but you are wrong.
Dang it. We played
very deeply.
We played Resident Evil 5 this year. Braxton and I did.
That game is terrible.
And it was the first 2 or 3 hours that we played. We're like, okay, this is not great, but it's fun to play together. And then it wasn't even fun to play together. And that's when you know it's not fun, when you can't even play with a buddy of yours.
So I usually get bored of games quicker than Ryan does. And I wanted to stop playing it for quite some time. And there was a moment where Ryan actually, I don't even remember what you said, but you couldn't take it anymore. And you actually said, hey, we need to stop this.
Yeah, I said, I don't know if I can do it anymore.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I've been thinking the same thing. Now that you've said it, let's actually stop. This is the first time you've ever said that.
It was terrible. Which is because my favorite game of the year, which is the first one on my list, Resident Evil 2. How far they fell from these brilliant Resident Evil 1 and 2 games, and then 3 was pretty good, 4 was definitely different, but still in the same good ballpark, and then 5 just, what were they thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. Capcom's attached to it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Capcom's gotten a lot better in the last 5 or 6 years, so I'm hoping that once they finally decide to make a new installment in Resident Evil instead of just rehashing the games that already were incredible, I'm hoping they do something good, because I did not like Resident Evil 7 either. I liked it when I first played it, then I played Resident Evil 2 and saw how crappy Resident Evil 7 was. Now I cannot go back to that game ever again.
Well, speaking about Capcom, there was one game I think that came out this year, I believe, I could be incorrect, that I've had a sour spot about because it was one of the options for Capcom to make either Dragon's Dogma or Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
And of course, Devil May Cry is the more popular one, more fans. I understand 100%. I was bitter about it for a little bit because it was very possible that Dragon's Dogma 2 came out. And if we're talking about favorite games of the decade, that is one of them. Dragon's Dogma. So I have Devil May Cry, and I will probably be playing it sometime soon because it looks wonderful. Something else I also want to play is what's that Switch game that came out by Platinum Games?
I know what you're talking about. Astral Chain.
Yes, that one. I want to play that. I'm worried that it's not going to be super great.
I watched Man vs. Game play that on Twitch, and he really liked it.
Yeah, it seems great, but very like anime fan servicey versus Nier Automata, which was like a moving experience.
Well, yeah, because that was done by Yoko himself.
Yeah, Yoko Taro.
But I mean, speaking of Capcom, though, they got Monster Hunter now. They got the new Resident Evils. They got the Street Fighter games. They've been hitting it out of the park the last few years.
Speaking of which, PC will be getting, I think, next week.
Yes.
Iceborne, which I'm not ready for.
Me either.
We can probably try that on stream or something outside of Divinity. But games, I think you can divide my first half of 2019 and second half of 2019 into 2 video games.
Yes, I think that's correct.
With some different things here and there. Ryan, do you know what my first one was when I was in school?
Fire
2019?
Fire Emblem?
No,
that was after.
No, I didn't. That was the second half.
While you're in school.
Yes, Fire Emblem came out after I moved to Chicago.
I actually don't know it.
That's fine. I played a buttload of Dragon Quest XI.
That's right.
A booty load. Let me actually look at my hours in this video game.
A booty load of Dragon Quest
XI. A booty
11.
freaking load of Dragon Quest XI. I should have it downloaded. Is it not in alphabetical order right now? DQ, a big one, and another big one. Where is that at? There it is. I saw it, but I didn't. Okay. So I put 91 hours into that game, and I got into the post game. Didn't quite beat it right away, but oh man, good game. Suffers from RPG difficulty of being too easy for the majority of it.
Yeah.
It's just hard to balance those. And then I played.
The story good though?
Yeah, I love it. It's very typical, like kind of tame RPG. Very typical, like you're the hero, gather some people, beat the evil of the world.
Yeah, Ni no Kuni's about the same. There's a little more family stuff going on in that one, but it's still good.
I don't think this game came out in 2019. Valhalla?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, I've been playing that on the Switch a lot. You're a bartender.
Yeah.
Make drinks and change lives. That's the tag
Great
for it.
soundtrack.
Play it. Good game. Oh my god, such a good soundtrack.
I have a
But
whole section
the
on my
vast-
best games this year for just the soundtrack.
Can we count Smash in this? It came out December 8th, 2018.
Sure, why not? You've been playing it a lot.
Played an ass load of Smash. That's an amazing
That
game.
is a very
Fire
good
Emblem.
metric, by the way. Ass load.
Ass load. I mean, you say butt hair a lot for size. Fire Emblem. I played over
Fire Emblem,
probably like
Three
200
Houses.
something hours of that. Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't think it's like the best game in the world. It has its flaws, but man, could I play that game so goddamn much. Story's wonderful. You could compare it to somebody's D&D campaign it's a very politics centric world with lots of character development and interactions and just God, such a good game. And actually fairly challenging combat.
Did it make you want to play any of the other kind of tactic-based games?
Yes and no, because I know nobody does it the same way that Fire Emblem Three Houses does, not even the Fire Emblems that came before it.
I really wanted to play, and I actually have it downloaded and ready to play at some point in my life, the Final Fantasy Tactics. I've heard amazing things about that game. I just gotta play it.
I've heard some good stuff about it as well. Did Disco Elysium come out this year? I would over Fire Emblem. I have yet to even probably scratch the surface with it. I only play it with my brother sometimes at night. But my God, is this game amazing?
Extremely unique storytelling.
Yeah, I feel like it's a character study of this man.
And
this
I
man
can
isn't
just
even
only
one character.
imagine what if my stats were different, what would be happening?
What are your stats using?
I don't remember.
You're probably the same.
Yeah, we're
you did a lot of the emotional one.
Yeah, I went into
you put a lot into Inland Empire, which is basically
the insanity
occultic
stuff.
Yeah. And some into intelligence, not a lot into physical, and just a bit into basically dexterity.
So basically a Lovecraft character.
Yes, me and you did pretty much the same character. I guarantee you the story is completely different because as you play through the game, certain parts of your freaking body and psyche talk to you. And whatever you have primarily there, of course, is going to be what comes up most often. Like my rhetoric was talking to me about becoming a communist.
Yeah, the things that can happen.
How silly is that? That rhetoric is talking to me about. And my Inland Empire is always like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is giving me a bad vibe. They all have such unique personalities, and there's these scenes that come up with your ancient reptilian brain. Basically, anytime you sleep, this guy talks, and I tell him I'm gonna be broken after I beat this game.
I highly recommend it. If you haven't checked it out, definitely should. I mean, obviously it's not on sale anymore, but actually it's 20% off. That's pretty good. I don't know if it will be when this
and it's
when
on
this
the
comes
front
out.
page.
Yeah, it's getting the accolades it definitely deserves. I'm very happy about that.
All right, Ryan, you got 7-ish plus minutes.
We can go a little over. It's all right.
Yeah, you've probably got a lot more video games to talk about than I do. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, most games, when games like this come out, they don't often get the press that they deserve. And I'm very happy that Disco Elysium is getting a lot of love. I think it's good news for these type of developers. And I hope we see more of that type of stuff in the future. So my lists here, we got Wander Song. I think it came out this year. I'm not positive. It's got a Steven Universe vibe to it. If you like that TV show.
You like Wander Song?
Ish. I love the soundtrack is just to die for.
Okay, I need you to separate this list into soundtracks you've liked and video games.
I will. Yeah.
Remove or talk about the soundtrack things completely separate from video games.
The based. So the story is going for the feels of Wander Song, and I think if I tried to stream it, if I wasn't streaming it, I think I probably liked it a little bit more. But the soundtrack's amazing. I have the vinyl that I was playing it earlier. It's incredible. Sunless Skies, and that came out this year, and I loved Sunless Seas so much. I think for people listening to this,
Skies and Sunless Seas.
Yeah, I think if people coming to this for D&D stuff that we normally talk about, if you're a DM or just like kind of darker Lovecraftian, it's more Lovecraftian writing than anything. That I highly recommend both of those games.
What is this gameplay? Are you
It's very well done. It's almost in some sections are almost like you're reading a book and a choose your own adventure, and then you got the stuff when you're traveling, and
well, that's basically what Disco Elysium is.
It's very unique, very well done, and like I said, the second one just came out, Sunless Skies, super cool.
Are you a person?
Yeah, you're a ship. You run the ship. You're the captain. And it's kind of roguelike, where if you die, then you continue and you kind of...
Sea of statues. That looks so cool.
It's very cool. It comes from a Flash game that they made called Fallen London, I think. And then the world from that, and they made Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies. I think I like Sunless Seas more just because it has a little bit of a darker feel to it, but Sunless Skies is just as good. So a big one that came with this year that I didn't play, and I don't know how big of a fan of this series you are. Kingdom Hearts. Have you ever played any of those?
So here's my Kingdom Hearts elevator pitch.
Okay.
I was given like $120 from my parents during like Christmas and whatever, my birthday, because it's close together.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was a lot younger.
Okay.
Like middle school or high school. And Kingdom Hearts 2 showed up. I was just looking for games. I didn't really have much access to the internet, so I just kind of said, okay, this one.
Sure.
Played Kingdom Hearts 2 first. Absolutely fell in love with it. Title screen rolls. I'm
Oh.
like, is that it? Look up Kingdom Hearts 1. Okay. So I get that, play them both, beat that, and then I realized that, okay, I mean, maybe Kingdom Hearts 3 will come out eventually.
Crickets chirp.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took several years for 3 to come out,
Yeah.
and I kind of lost the momentum, and yeah. So I love the games.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would enjoy 3.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things on it, so I don't know. Now, one of the best looking games I've played this year, and it was fun. I enjoyed I thought it was a little too short. It felt like it could just kind of ended at some point. There are DLCs for it, I guess, that have come out, but I haven't played them. Metro Exodus. Gorgeous game.
Right.
And I bet it would look even better now that I got ray tracing and stuff from my computer.
What?
What do you mean, what? You want to buy it just so you look at ray tracing?
Yeah. I'm a GTX 2080, man.
It's
I
pretty.
want that shit.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game.
But it puts your shit down to 30 FPS.
No.
Burps. I'm sorry.
You
know what was one of my top games of the year?
What?
No Man's Sky VR.
Yeah, we did not enjoy
kidding.
No Man's Sky at all.
No, unfortunately. I'm sorry, man. I got the hiccups and the burps.
He's a disgusting individual.
Yeah, it's okay.
Now, one that Braxton didn't enjoy, probably one of his more of his disappointments of this year, Sekiro. See, the sigh says it all. The sigh says it all. You didn't like it. I think you either love it or hate it.
I'm basically indifferent to it. To it.
So you don't hate it, but you don't love it, and you're just like,
I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
No. I really liked it. I thought it was beautiful. The soundtracks and credits. I mean, it's just, it's got the FromSoft soundtracks team behind it, which is always just brilliant. It wasn't my favorite of the year. I definitely think there was some. Actually, when I think about it, I don't know if I really had too big of any issues with it. It just didn't grab me like Bloodborne or one of those games did.
Bloodborne's a special boy.
It is a very special boy, and I hope they never make a Bloodborne 2. I just love the concise package that it's in. Please don't ruin it.
I will apologize. Dragon Quest 11 came out September 4th, 2018.
All right, well, that's off the list now. That game sucked.
The definitive edition came out in 2019.
Okay, it counts again.
For Switch.
Yeah, and you played on PC, right?
So it does not count again.
No, well, never mind.
No.
Well, a game that got me into a whole new genre of games this year is Mortal Kombat 11. It came out this year, and I don't know what happened, but I just fell in love with fighting games, and now I've been playing Tekken. I've been playing that a lot.
Smash.
Yeah, I know. I need to. I really want to get a Switch for a lot of reasons, but Smash would be tons
I'm surprised your birthday's coming up. Ask for a Switch.
Yeah, but my birthday is just with Christmas.
Come on. Our birthday's far enough away from Christmas that it can count.
Yeah, but that's a lot of stuff, man. I'm all right.
No, it's not.
I just combine it with Christmas.
You don't get anything else throughout the year. You gotta cough
I mean,
up
I
that
get
money.
small stuff that my parents just send me, but nothing. I don't need anything crazy,
It's
man.
like, Mom, Dad, give me $100.
My nephew got a Switch. Cousin got a Switch.
Kick him in the dust and take a Switch.
It's kind of rude, isn't it?
No, it's your Switch.
It's not my Switch.
I have games that I want to play with you. Get this. This is my birthday gift now. So Braxton wants Ryan to get a Switch.
Wait,
for
what
his
games do you want to
birthday.
play with me besides Smash?
Smash.
That's it. That's all you want me to play, huh?
Well, my biggest disappointment of the year was Pokemon's Sword and Shield.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
You played that a lot, though, I thought.
I played probably like 20 to 30 hours of it.
Oh.
That sums up Pokemon for people. Is even if it's lukewarm, people are going to play it.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen. So, I mean, that's kind of me in 2019.
What?
Had a lot of life stuff
Lukewarm?
going on.
Braxton didn't enjoy too much. Well, I mean, that's what I like about you. You find something you like and you sink into it, man. You just get sucked up whenever you enjoy.
I'm the same way when I eat food. I have to go one thing at a time.
Really?
I don't know if that's an accurate.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
Keep things separated. If I'm going for the broccoli and there's a steak on my plate. Yeah, I forgot. I finished
Okay,
broccoli.
I'm with that too. I agree.
Yeah.
A,
Well, you're
a Plague Tale
you're
Innocence
even
came out
pickier
this year
than I
too.
am. Oh yeah.
I did not like. Well, I did. I thought the gameplay was lukewarm, not the best.
It's won some. Are you using my vocabulary?
Say it's wholesome.
No, I said it's won some awards. I think.
It did. But the soundtrack was by far my favorite piece of music released this year. It's just got this haunting atmosphere. It's got cellos. I love cellos, and it makes my heart swoon, man. It makes my heart swoon.
Whenever I know Ryan doesn't enjoy the game for the game, the second he talks about the soundtrack.
I mean, the game. Okay, so the game had
you
moments.
don't enjoy the game. You like the soundtrack.
No, the game had moments that I really liked, and I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this developer because I think they have a lot of potential. I liked where they were heading, but the soundtrack was incredible.
So that's my New Year's resolution for you, Ryan.
Yeah,
is to understand when you like a game or you like a soundtrack.
But yeah,
Bloodborne and Nier are two exceptions. I know that you love both of those games and both of those soundtracks. But I know you did not enjoy
the composer for A Plague Tale, also the composing for Vampire, and I've heard mixed things of Vampires. I'm probably not gonna play it, but the soundtrack's beautiful. So
yeah.
Alrighty. Outer Wilds. I've been playing that. It's tons of fun. And the other Outer game, the Outer Worlds.
Don't talk about it.
I wasn't disappointed because I didn't have any expectations going into it. If I'd played this game 5 years ago, I think I would have loved it.
Yeah.
It's just got.
It just seems like
it's got the Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3 vibes to it, and that's just not the type of games I like anymore. Bloodstained, kind of similar. I loved parts of it, but I think it was overall lacking. I think other games that are doing that kind of Metroidvania, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night style a lot better. Frostpunk. Now here you go. Frostpunk, great game, great soundtrack. I loved both of it. Tons of fun. It was great price point, super short, concise. You're controlling this team of things and whatnot, and there's a great soundtrack. I played the soundtrack for A Plague Tale and Frostpunk all the time in my D&D games. So if you guys are out there looking for soundtracks to use, those are two I highly recommend.
I feel like I played more games than I talked about.
Well, you played a lot of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, lately, but I mean, like, it was a long year.
We played some puzzle games together.
Oh yeah, we were here together. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah, we were here together. We were here too. I said those out of order, but we played those and they were lots of fun.
Lots of fun. Stopped because my attention span is only so big.
Yeah, we'll probably finish it at some point. It's probably. I mean,
some point.
I thought the story is the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
The two last games that I haven't played that I will play this year, maybe
Smash Bros.
I'm gonna play one of them this year. The Star Wars Jedi game. I've heard fantastic things, but I think it's just because it's Dark Souls and Star Wars.
I've heard that it is buggy.
It's definitely
as hell.
buggy. It's definitely buggy as hell. And Death Stranding. That's a game I'm 100% playing this year once it comes out on PC. And
Same.
I love Kojima. I love Metal Gear, and I'm very intrigued to see what's gonna.
Japan loves it.
Yeah, I've done my best to avoid everything about it. So I'm going in as blind as I 100% possibly can, and I think it's the type of game that I could really enjoy. I think it's like in the summer of this year is when it comes out on PC. It took
Yeah,
all
it'll be a bit.
all my resistance to not buy it on PlayStation.
I'm gonna be pretty stuck on Final Fantasy, but I really should play Monster Hunter. And I don't know how long it took me to beat the game originally, but I don't think I can do it in a weekend.
Unless you do
Probably
nothing
could.
else.
Well, I mean, that's how I play video games.
Yeah.
I no-lifed that game when it came out, just like Destiny 2.
Yeah, you're no life. And every time I see you on Discord, it says Final Fantasy next to his little name.
Unfortunately, yes, that is everything.
I mean, unfortunately, it's got some fun parts to it. It's really good.
It's literally not fun right now,
What?
but I enjoy it.
Oh, you're going to pass me pretty soon.
Yes, I am. No, it's going to happen probably tonight or tomorrow.
What? Where are you at?
42.
How do you know? That's nowhere close. The levels slow down. The levels slow down quite a lot.
I don't know, man. I went from level 30 to level 40 in about a day.
Once you finish A Realm Reborn, it really slows down. It took me.
Oh, so you finished Realm Reborn?
Yeah, it took me like 2 weeks to get to where I am now, finishing A Realm Reborn.
My big gripe with it right now is the quest can be boiled down to, oh, we need something from this group, but they don't trust you yet.
Yeah, trust me, it gets a lot better once you finish Realm Reborn. That's probably the weakest parts of Final Fantasy.
Can you help me with this thing? I don't trust
me, it gets a lot better. Once you finish the patch between A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, boom, it picks up.
Good stuff.
Yeah, some good stuff there. It drags the most during that. That's when the levels really. That's why I said try the classes experience once you finish A Realm Reborn and start doing the patches. It's about when you hit level 50, I think.
I think. I mean, it's hard to encapsulate a year into one podcast.
Yeah.
But I think we did as best we could in terms of...
What about your life in 2019? Was it good?
It was good. It was stressful. I mean, coming back from Japan is a big change. Then graduating and probably going through the second most stressful time in my life.
Yeah.
And going from the graduation, that stressful moment, 2 days later, I have a full-time job in a city that I've never even been in before. I moved from Texas to Chicago, and it was a fairly seamless experience thanks to my brother. Largely and thanks to my brother. And some big changes are coming that I can't really talk about right now for security reasons, but I'll mention it if it comes through. But things are changing rapidly. It's weird not being able to have a new video game come out and play it for insane amounts of hours. Like I had a break for Christmas for my first break since I got back from Japan, technically, where I was just home with a gaming console. And I put like 50 hours into Final Fantasy in like a week and a half. And it was so nice just to revert back to my natural state. But
just become a video game reviewer or something. That can be your life.
That's the goal.
And then you'll play the games you hate too, and you have to talk about it.
That's fun. I got some strong opinions.
Yeah,
but,
you did.
I don't know, Ryan, what about you?
It was definitely a tough year. Relationship ended that I was a part of for almost like 2.5 years, and then I was headed towards graduation and trying to figure out where my life was headed. But I'm looking forward to 2020 and the next decade. I think it'll be a good one. Like you said the other day when we weren't on a podcast. I mean, the last decade was basically our life. Before that, we were just kind of fetuses. Yeah,
that's why I feel like people that are talking about this decade being so great, and I'm like, okay, there's history. You have the information from that, but like this, I got into basically everything that I consumed.
Yeah, we're both 22 right now.
Everything. When I was 12, I was still going to like elementary school, I think, or middle, just going from like 5th grade to 6th grade. I don't know. School. I watched Toonami on Cartoon Network. Yeah. That was my intro to anime, but everything that I enjoy in this world has happened from 2010 to now to now.
Yeah.
So, it's silly for me to do a decade review when it's basically
Yeah, it is. Everything that we've become has happened in the last 10 years. So,
and it will continue to happen. So, come 2030, if we're still doing this podcast, which I hope we are.
that'll be a lot of episodes.
Oh my God. I think this is like the 24th or the 23rd episode.
23rd.
Hey, we'll be turning 23 soon.
Whoa.
So surprising.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out and listening to us waffle.
Yeah, we'll probably take a little break here while I go to the bathroom and maybe grab grub. But Ryan, are you still down to stream Divinity?
Well, let's wrap up the podcast first.
Well, that's what I'm going to say first. Again, we're going to be continuing to stream at MELACIOUR, Melasior on Twitch. Also, I'll probably stream as well at Nesugiru, N-E-S-U-G-I-R-U.
By the time you hear this, though, it will be gone. That's what I'm trying to say.
We stream occasionally during the week on
we
Thursday, so check us out.
Yeah, we try to stream every Thursdays. Sometimes life changes and we have to change the day, obviously. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the Dungeon Crawl. We'll be continuing this into the new year, finishing up Unearthed Arcana, and then we'll see where life takes us next.
Yeah, here's to a good year of podcasting and tweets at the Dungeon Crawl Pod on Twitter.
Make sure you email us.
Yeah, I really want to have more audience interaction as we start getting a bigger audience.
At the Dungeon Crawl Pod at gmail.com. Make sure you review us on iTunes, the Dungeon Crawl. Give us a 5 stars and tell us how much you think Braxton should cut his hair or how much you think I should grow out my hair.
Need a haircut. You do need to grow out your hair.
I did get a haircut somewhat recently, like a month ago.
Nice. But thank you guys so much. I hope your 2020 is a wonderful one. And if you decide to spend an hour or so a week listening to us or watching us on the stream, thank you very much.
We appreciate it. See you later.
Take care.